All right, guys. So 85% of you said you wanted me to read the book, so I'm gonna go ahead and read the book. This is the office in my house. Missing a door. We're cleaning it up. That's where my husband works. He has his own setup. All right. So last time that we saw Christopher was a while ago. Sorry about that. We found out that his neighbor told him about his mom and Mr. Shears having an affair. So that's where we're gonna keep off. I don't like this light, bro. What is this light? Sure. Let's just go with that. All right. So chapter 109. That night, I wrote some more in my book. Over here. Let's try over here. Oh well. You get my shiny face. My blurry, shiny face. Alright, so chapter 109. That night I wrote some more in my book. And the next morning I took it into school so that Miss S could read it and tell me if I had made any mistakes with the spelling and the grammar. Miss S read the book during morning break when she had a cup of coffee and sits at the edge of the playground with the other teachers. And after morning break, she came and sat down next to me and she said she had read the bit about my conversation with Miss Alexander. And then she asked, "Have you told your father about this?" I replied, "No." "Are you going to tell your father about this?" "No." "Good. I think that's a good idea, Christopher." And then she said, "Did it make you sad to find this out?" "Find what out?" "Did it make you upset to find out that your mother and Mr. Shears had an affair?" "No." "Are you telling the truth, Christopher?" "I always tell the truth." And she said, "I know you do, Christopher, but sometimes we get sad about things and we don't like to tell other people that we are sad about them. We like to keep it a secret. Or sometimes we are sad, but we don't really know that it's sad. So we say we aren't sad, but really we are." "I'm not sad." And she said, "If you do start to feel sad about this, I want you to know that you can come and talk to me about it. Because I think talking to you will help you make you feel less sad. And if you don't feel sad, but you just want to talk to me about it, that would be okay too. Do you understand?" "I understand." "Good," she said. "But I don't feel sad about it. Because Mother's dead. And because Mr. Shears isn't around anymore. So I would be feeling sad about something that isn't real and that doesn't exist. And that would just be stupid." And then I practiced math for the rest of the morning. And at lunch, I didn't have the quiche because it was yellow. But I did have the carrots and the peas and lots of tomato ketchup. And for after, I had some blackberry and apple crumble, but not the crumble bit because that was yellow too. And I got Mrs. Davis to take the crumble bit off before she put it onto my plate because it doesn't matter if different sorts of food are touching before they're actually on your plate. Then after lunch, I spent my afternoon doing art with Mrs. Peters and I painted some pictures of aliens. Chapter 113. My memory's like a film. That is why am really good at remembering things, like the conversations I have written down in this book, and what people are wearing, and what they smelled like, because my memory has a smell track, which is like a soundtrack. And when people ask me to remember something, I can simply press rewind and fast forward and pause, like on a video recorder, but more like a DVD player because I don't have to rewind through everything in between to get a memory of something a long time ago. And there are no buttons either because it's already happening in my head. If someone says to me, "Christopher, tell me what your mother was like," I can rewind to lots of different scenes and say what she was like in those scenes. For example, I could rewind to the 4th of July, 1992, when I was 9, which was a Saturday, and we were on vacation in Cornwall. And in the afternoon, we were on the beach. And Mother was wearing a pair of shorts made out of denim and a light blue bikini top, and she was smoking cigarettes. And she wasn't swimming. Mother was sunbathing on a towel, which was red and purple, and she was reading a book called The Masquerade. And then she finished sunbathing and went to the water to swim and said, "Bloody hell, it's cold." And she said I should come and swim too, but I don't like swimming because I don't like taking my clothes off. And she said I could just roll up on my trousers and walk into the water a little bit. So I did. And I stood in the water. And Mother said, "Look, it's lovely." And she jumped backward and disappeared under the water. And I thought a shark had eaten her. And I screamed. And she stood up out of the water again and came over to me where I was standing and held up her right hand and spread her fingers out in a fan and said, "Come on, Christopher. Touch my hand. Come now. Stop screaming. Touch my hand. Listen to me, Christopher. You can do it." And after a while, I stopped screaming, and I held onto my left hand and spread my fingers out in a fan, and we made our fingers and thumbs touch each other. And Mother said, "It's okay, Christopher. It's okay. There aren't any sharks in this beach." And then I felt better. Except I can't remember anything before I was about 4 because I wasn't looking at things in the right way. So they didn't really record properly. And this is how I recognize someone if I don't know who they are. I see what they're wearing, or if they're walking stick, or a funny hair, or have a certain type of glasses, or they have a particular way of moving their items, their arms, sorry. And I do a search through my memories to see if I've met them before. And this is how I know how to act in different situations where I don't know what to do. For example, if people say things that don't make sense, like, "See you later, alligator," or "You'll catch your death in that," I do a search and see if I've ever heard someone say this before. And if someone is lying on the floor at school, I do a search through my memory to find a picture of someone having an epileptic fit, and then I I compare the picture with it to see if they're having a seizure, or just playing and having a game, or maybe they're having a sleep. And if they are in a seizure, I move any furniture out of their way to stop them from banging their head, and I take my jumper off and I put it between their head, and I go and find the teacher. Other people have pictures in their heads too, but they are different because the pictures in my head are all pictures of things which really happen. But other people have pictures in their heads of things that aren't real and didn't happen. For example, sometimes Mother used to say, "If I hadn't married your father, I think I'd be living in a little farmhouse in the south of France with someone called Jean, and he'd be, a local handyman. Doing painting and decorating for people, gardening, building fences. And we'd have a veranda with figs growing over it, and there would be a field of sunflowers at the bottom of the garden, and a little town on the hill in distance, and we'd sit outside in the evening and drink red wine and smoke cigarettes and watch the sun go down." And Miss S once said that when she felt depressed or sad, she would close her eyes and she would imagine that she was staying in the house on Cape Cod, where her friend Ellie and they would take a trip on a boat from Princetown and go out to the bay to watch the humpback whales. That made her feel calm and peaceful and happy. And sometimes when someone has died, like Mother died, people say, "What would you want to say to your mother if she was here now?" Or, "What would your mother think about that?" Which is stupid because Mother's dead and you can't say anything to people who are dead, and dead people can't think. And Grandmother has pictures in her head too, but her pictures are all confused. Like someone has muffled the film up and she can't tell what happened in what order. So she thinks that dead people are still alive and she doesn't know whether something happened in real life or whether it happened on television. All right, so that is for today. Make sure you check out the Google Classroom forms to answer today's couple questions to get credit, and then whatever other assignment you have. Miss you guys. Love you.